Bryan Freedman has just responded to Blake. Blake Lively, you're awful. You are so awful, and we were all right.
Everyone's buzzing about the subpoena being dropped, but no one's asking the real question. What exactly did Taylor Swift's team provide to make it disappear? Get ready for a deep dive into the details others won't dare expose.
Awful. You are so awful, and we were all right. Let's get into it. Before I get to the update, I got to update you, though, for those that don't know. We reported yesterday that Blake Lively's lawyer allegedly threatened Taylor Swift and extorted her to release a public statement in support of Blake, or text messages would be released. They also accused Taylor of Blake of asking Taylor to delete text messages. This was the original letter that was sent by Bryan Freedman. Well, Blake Lively's team was very quick to respond. I've never seen them respond so quick because this headline went everywhere. And so they quickly responded to all the outlets. Well, no, we deny it. We deny it. This isn't true, blah, 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 blah. And of course, because the media's in their pocket, all these outlets are just bending over. And yes, Blake's response is here as well. I've never seen more people get what they want through the media coverage than these two. It's wild. But Bryan Freedman responded to this. This was a letter where they, it should be noted, this was anonymously sourced, and they're just abusing us again, and this is categorically false, blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, it's not signed by Gottlieb. It's not signed, I swear by, this is false. It was signed by Ezra Hudson, a different lawyer, not from that firm, which was odd to me. It was a big red flag. Well, if you're going to come out so fiercely and deny it, maybe get the lawyer who's being accused to deny it themselves. Well, Bryan was quick to point that out. In his response this morning that just dropped hot off the presses, we write in response to this letter to strike our motion to ask the court to strike my letter. The letter was submitted in response to Miss Lively's consolidated defendant, Miss Reynolds, together defense, on purporting to inform the court of their request to intervene in an action pending before a different federal court relating to a motion of Taylor Swift's company, Venable, to quash the subpoena served on them by my office. The premise of the motion is that I made a deliberate and shameless misinterpretation to the court and that the facts set forth in the May 14th letter are false and unfounded. That is not so. Attached here too, as Exhibit 1, is an affidavit executed under penalty of perjury, stating the factual basis for the statements set forth in my letter. Notably, the motion is not signed by Michael Gottlieb. I noticed that too, Bryan Freedman, whose conduct gave rise to my office's influence on a subpoena to Taylor.
Everyone's talking about the sudden withdrawal of the subpoenas served to Taylor Swift's team, but almost no one is asking the real question. What exactly was shared to make that happen? The silence is deafening, and what lies beneath may be far more explosive than anyone anticipated. The center of this legal storm is a motion filed by the Venable law firm to quash a subpoena related to Taylor Swift's company. The motion accuses the issuing office of deliberately misrepresenting facts. But here's the catch. It's not signed by Michael Gottlieb, the usual name expected in a filing of this weight. Instead, it traces back to Bryan Freedman, the powerhouse attorney known for representing Justin Baldoni. According to multiple insiders, Freedman's involvement and Taylor Swift's apparent cooperation might be the very reason this entire legal thread is unraveling. Could Taylor Swift really be hiding a betrayal this significant? Or is it all a carefully timed move in an even larger game? Taylor's close relationship with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is no secret. For years, the trio has been Hollywood's favorite friendship. Frequent vacations, cozy Instagram tributes, and even lyrical shoutouts to Blake and Ryan's children in Taylor's songs. On paper, they're rock solid. But now, that picture-perfect image is showing cracks, and it all circles back to Taylor's conspicuously quiet role in this ongoing legal drama. Here's where it gets complicated. Rumors are swirling that Taylor's legal team handed over confidential information to Bryan Freedman. While the exact nature of this material hasn't been confirmed, several sources allege it was significant enough to cause the subpoena to be withdrawn, instantly shifting momentum in the case. On the surface, it could be read as a move to protect Taylor's privacy. No global superstar wants to be dragged into someone else's legal disaster, especially when the case involves her closest friends. But her complete silence, no denials, no public defense of Blake, not even a vague comment from her team, has only intensified speculation. Why the radio silence? Think of it like a chessboard. If Blake Lively is the king, Taylor Swift is the queen, too powerful and too valuable to be sacrificed without precision. By discreetly aiding Baldoni's side with select intel, Swift may have made a strategic trade, her silence in exchange for immunity. In doing so, she ensured her own image stayed pristine while potentially handing Blake and Ryan a major disadvantage in their escalating public feud. This theory fits a familiar pattern among celebrities at Swift's level. In times of scandal or litigation, silence is rarely accidental. It's often a calculated pause, used to strategize the next move. Taylor's team, known for their airtight PR operations and chess-like planning, may have seen the subpoena as a red flag that needed to be neutralized fast. And what better way to avoid a courtroom spotlight than by offering something valuable behind closed doors? Here's where it turns even messier. Sources suggest the information shared by Taylor's camp didn't just protect her, it gave Justin Baldoni's legal team an edge they previously lacked. If that intel undermines Blake's credibility or contradicts her legal narrative, it could explain why Blake's team has been in frantic damage control mode ever since. That's the real danger for Blake and Ryan. They entered this legal battle assuming their inner circle was locked tight. But Taylor's alleged shift in allegiance has exposed vulnerabilities they didn't even know they had. If her tip-off indeed cast Blake in a negative light, whether intentionally or not, it could lead to serious professional and personal fallout for the couple. In the end, Taylor may have secured her queen. But at what cost to the rest of the board?
Here's more details on that source. I, Bryan Freedman, representing all the Wayfarer parties. I submit this affidavit in opposition to the motion to strike by Blake Lively, elaborating the basis for the subpoena to Taylor Swift. On February 14th, 2025, I received a voicemail from a person very closely linked to Taylor Swift, whom I subsequently called back the same day. Out of respect for the individual in question, I am not identifying them at this time. However, should the court direct me to do so, I will comply with a court order. During the February 14th phone call, which lasted approximately 1 hour, the speaker told me that they had been informed that J. Douglas Baldridge, counsel for Taylor Swift, and a partner at Venable, had received a phone call from Michael Gottlieb, counsel for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, during which Mr. Gottlieb requested, on Miss Lively's behalf, that Taylor Swift make a social media statement in support of Miss Lively, given her absence from the Super Bowl that year, and stated that if Miss Swift failed to do so, Miss Lively would release 10 years of private texts with Miss Swift. The individual also told me that they had been informed that Miss Baldridge had accused Mr. Gottlieb of extortion and ended the call. During the same 14th call, the individual told me that they had been informed that 4 or 5 months earlier, Miss Lively had requested that Miss Swift delete her text messages with Miss Lively. I was connected to this individual through a mutual friend who informed me that the individual wanted to talk. We have had several phone calls since February 14th. On a later call with the same individual, the individual told me that Mr. Baldridge had sent a written communication to Mr. Gottlieb relating to their phone conversation. My office issued a subpoena to Taylor Swift for the purpose of seeking the aforementioned written communication. I swear under penalty of perjury. Guys, do you get how big this is and how much this is exploding in Blake and Ryan's face? This is unreal.
Bryan Freedman doesn't just win cases. He redefines the battleground. As Justin Baldoni's attorney, he's earned a reputation for turning legal pressure into a precision weapon. And in this latest legal whirlwind, his strategy speaks volumes. For those unfamiliar, Freedman isn't your run-of-the-mill Hollywood lawyer. His name consistently surfaces when the stakes are sky-high, A-listers in crisis, studios under fire, or multi-million-dollar deals teetering on collapse. He's the guy you call when you need more than a win. You need domination. Every move he makes is deliberate, calculated, surgical. So when he issued a subpoena to Taylor Swift, someone with no direct stake in the feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, it wasn't a random move. It was a masterstroke of legal chess disguised as routine paperwork. Let's break that down. Taylor Swift wasn't the obvious target. She wasn't in the lawsuit. She wasn't on set. But Freedman brought her into the picture anyway.
Why?
Because the subpoena wasn't about what Swift might say in court. It was about the pressure it would create. Her team, famously aggressive about protecting her image, now faced a decision: allow their client to get pulled into a public legal mess or take action behind the scenes. That subpoena forced a move. And insiders say Swift's team responded quietly, but effectively. Instead of letting their client's name be dragged through headlines and depositions, they allegedly provided behind-the-scenes intel to Baldoni's side. Just enough to defuse the subpoena and give Freedman what he really wanted: leverage. This is where Freedman excels. He's known for using legal action not just to win cases, but to control narratives. From Gabrielle Union to Megyn Kelly, his past clients have all benefited from his uncanny ability to apply pressure where it counts, not just in courtrooms, but in boardrooms, headlines, and public perception. He knows that subpoenas, settlements, and court filings aren't just legal tools. They're instruments of influence. The brilliance of this particular play lies in how little it had to do with Taylor Swift actually testifying. Her presence in the legal narrative was the pressure point. Once her name entered the equation, the focus shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't just Justin versus Blake. The question became, what does Taylor Swift know? And more importantly, what did she share? According to insiders, the information Swift's team allegedly handed over changed everything. It offered Baldoni's side new angles, more context, and critical insight, particularly into Blake Lively's behavior and strategy. The balance tipped almost overnight. Freedman's gambit worked. Taylor Swift was never the endgame. She was the trigger. And now, Blake Lively is facing intensified scrutiny, her legal defenses suddenly more fragile than ever. Meanwhile, the silence from her camp? It's no longer just quiet. It's deafening. And that's exactly the kind of pressure Bryan Freedman counts on.
I'm going to promote this shirt. I put it on again. Taylor Swift is declaring, I am nobody's dragon, girl. I am not your dragon. I've stayed quiet. I've stayed away. But girl, now that I'm getting dragged in this, you're about to get run over because I am not going to hold back. And I would bet you all of this was like, well, you got to do that. You got to serve me. Yes, here's the tip, but you didn't hear it from us. You got to push it. You got to push it. And I bet you there's a part of Taylor that's kind of like, yes, subpoena me, do it. I mean, of course, as Ron said yesterday, Ron Zambrano told us, yeah, every celebrity pushes back. All this sort of stuff happens. But man, this is ugly. Notice Taylor Swift, one of the most litigious people in the world, is not coming forward to deny any of this. Typically, when her friends, women under fire, are put in the spotlight like this, she is very quick to go after and declare and have her team shut up everybody. It's unreal the power Taylor Swift wields. Love her or hate her, it's all facts. The fact that she's not, we'll see, give it a day or so. If we don't hear from Taylor today to squash all of this and clear the air, well, that tells you everything. And I wouldn't be put about if I bet you someone on Taylor's team has confirmed this to Justin's team. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this isn't coming from them directly. Look, we're frustrated too. We'd like to help, but our hands are tied unless you subpoena us. Just like the New York Times did to Blake Lively for those texts, right? Well, we're going to need this if you're going to do it. It's all biting her back in the butt. Why would she want those texts deleted? I'm so fascinated. Who is the source? Oh my God, this is getting good. This is getting good. Blake and Ryan must be, can you imagine the stress they are facing right now? Because now it's all coming to head. As I've been predicted and I've been told by very good sources, this is going to explode so disgustingly.
Blake Lively's team wasted no time spinning the subpoena withdrawal as a decisive win. On the surface, it looked like a PR triumph. After all, any legal entanglement involving Taylor Swift getting brushed aside could easily be packaged as a power move. But dig a little deeper, and that celebratory tone starts to unravel. According to insiders, the real story behind the withdrawal has far less to do with Blake's legal prowess and far more to do with the quiet, calculated actions of Swift's team, IN Truth. The question isn't if Blake won, it's what she gave up for that so-called victory. Here's the reality behind the headlines. Sources familiar with the matter allege that Taylor Swift's legal team provided confidential information to Justin Baldoni's attorney, Bryan Freedman, rendering the subpoena unnecessary. If true, this wasn't a win by Blake's camp. It was a behind-the-scenes retreat, orchestrated by Swift's team to quietly protect their own clients' interests while shifting the narrative elsewhere. Rather than owning that nuance, Blake's camp rushed out a public statement, full of confidence and premature relief. But that move is already backfiring. To many, it looked like a desperate attempt to redirect the spotlight before anyone started asking why the subpoena disappeared in the first place. Think of it as a sleight of hand. With one hand, Blake's PR machine waved a banner of victory. With the other, they scrambled to contain the ripple effects. But like any illusion, the trick only works if the audience doesn't look too closely. And in this case, people are definitely looking. Hollywood insiders have seen this move before. When a scandal hits, a quick victory statement is PR crisis management 101. You create a new headline. You change the conversation. You buy time. But the problem is, if the real issues remain unresolved, or worse, exposed through whispers and leaks, those declarations don't just lose power. They turn into liabilities. That's exactly what's happening now. What began as a distraction is becoming its own controversy. Critics are now dissecting not only Blake's involvement in the case, but also the optics of her team's response. Why rush to celebrate when the underlying facts suggest this withdrawal was less about exoneration and more about strategic deflection? Even more troubling for Blake are the potential long-term effects. Behind the scenes, rumors are mounting about how this misstep might impact her relationship with major players, particularly Disney. The company is notoriously protective of its brand, and any suggestion that one of their talents is caught in legal or reputational chaos can be enough to put contracts on ice. Instead of calming the storm, Blake's aggressive attempt to control the narrative may have intensified scrutiny. What could have been handled quietly with strategic restraint has now ballooned into a reputational hazard. Her team's overconfident posture didn't just fail to contain the damage. It may have cracked the foundation of trust with the very studios and collaborators she relies on. The worst part? It didn't have to unfold this way. Had her team acknowledged the complexity, or even chosen silence, the story might have quietly died. But by declaring victory too soon, they've only added fuel to a fire they clearly weren't prepared to extinguish.
Lively's attorneys told TMZ, "We are pleased with the result of today's hearing and eager to move forward immediately with the discovery in this case. The court granted our request that all attorneys in the matter actually follow the rule of the law and not make any statements that could prejudice a jury. This case deals with serious allegations of SH and retaliation. We will hold the defendants accountable, and we will be confident that once all the evidence is submitted in the matter, Miss Lively will prevail." Okay, well, we'll see. That's Blake Lively's side trying to declare it a win because, the judge did sort of say you must follow the law. But Justin Baldoni's team clearly also declaring the win, as TMZ is also reporting it, scored a legal win because there was no gag order placed. That's what Blake Lively was trying to do. Blake was also trying to not have this lawyer, Bryan Freedman, depose her, and she lost that as well. So while they're spinning it in their favor, yes, Bryan's got to be a little bit more careful. Clearly, he's still out there making statements, just like Blake Lively's team is doing. He doesn't seem to be releasing anything else, and I suspect we're going to start getting less from this side as evidence and filings go, because, look, judging by another legal analysis I've watched of this hearing today, they got to be careful at this point. They got everything out. It's all right. Now stop. Be careful. Don't keep doing what you're not supposed to do. That's where we currently stand on things. We will see.
Could Blake Lively's legal entanglements with Justin Baldoni and now the unexpected involvement of Taylor Swift really jeopardize her relationship with Disney? This isn't idle speculation. For years, Disney has been one of Lively's most high-profile professional allies, drawn to her polished, family-friendly persona. Her image has long aligned with the studio's tightly controlled, wholesome brand. But now, whispers of behind-the-scenes discord are raising serious concerns, and if there's one thing Disney refuses to mix with its multi-billion-dollar portfolio, it's controversy. Taylor Swift's reported involvement adds a new, unpredictable layer of volatility. If the rumors are true that her team provided key information to Baldoni's lawyer, Bryan Freedman, it suggests there's more going on behind the curtain than fans, or perhaps even Disney, were initially aware of. And if that information casts Blake in a negative light, whether related to her conduct, legal dealings, or professional behavior, it could be enough for Disney to quietly reassess its association with her. This isn't unprecedented. Disney has a long track record of swiftly distancing itself from stars when reputational risk becomes too high. It's not about guilt or innocence, it's about optics. The company sees itself not just as a studio, but as a global brand. Its talent doesn't simply appear in films. They represent a lifestyle, an ethos, and a multi-million-dollar merchandise machine. And if that image is threatened, even indirectly, Disney isn't known for offering second chances. Past examples paint a clear picture. Johnny Depp's removal from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise following his legal battles with Amber Heard, or Gina Carano's ousting from The Mandalorian after a string of controversial social media posts. Both were public relations headaches that Disney moved quickly to contain. Neither case required criminal charges or formal litigation involving Disney directly. It was the association with turmoil that was enough. Blake's situation, while different, carries similar echoes. What started as a private feud with Baldoni has ballooned into a complex web involving alleged control issues, on-set disputes, leaked text messages, and now the Taylor Swift bombshell. Even if the worst of it is personal, not professional, it still places Lively's name in headlines for all the wrong reasons. And Disney, which relies on squeaky clean press to promote its family-forward content, can't afford reputational uncertainty. There's another element to consider: the ripple effect. If Disney does begin to quietly step away from Blake, it could signal a reshuffling of power within the industry. The roles she might have been considered for could suddenly become available, opening doors for rising talent. Hollywood thrives on turnover. A high-profile stumble for one star often marks a breakthrough opportunity for another. For now, Disney has stayed publicly silent. But insiders say that when controversies erupt, internal discussions happen fast. Executives assess public sentiment, evaluate risk, and, when needed, make fast, quiet exits. It's a strategy rooted in brand preservation, not loyalty. Whether Blake Lively can weather this storm without losing major endorsements remains to be seen. But the next move from Disney, whether public or private, could very well determine the future of her standing in Hollywood.
There doesn't have to be evidence at this point in the lawsuit. It's just filing a response and answer sufficient to move forward beyond this one point. And for purposes of what that requires, it's being done. The evidence will come later in discovery, which conveniently for Jones and Lively will probably be subject to a protective order and never really see the light of day before trial, which we talked about in the last one. So these are low-hanging fruit statements, in my opinion, about like, well, they haven't presented evidence. Like, well, they're not in trial. You're not asking for evidence. You're just making these allegations, and they're preparing this document that they have to prepare under the law to defend themselves, and that's what they've done. This is really yes, they're deflecting because they have to defend themselves in this lawsuit, but at the same time, they don't have to present evidence at this particular moment in time. They just have to. That'll come later. Now, whether or not Jones's team or Lively's team is going to be like, oh, we're going to talk about all this evidence. They probably will not want to, because again, this is looking really, really bad for Lively and Jones with regards to this lawsuit that was created to assuage the New York Times' fears. What the New York Times should or shouldn't have done is a different story, but I think this is really, really bad for Lively's team and for Jones.
So all the gusto they're showing, that's nervousness. It's not proving anything to you.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit, and they're doing the best they can with what they got. But this isn't, from a legal.
Serious
If you're an attorney, you're like, this isn't the evidence time. This is just the setting up the lawsuit.
The twists are far from over. Bryan Freedman isn't done yet. Known for his relentless pursuit of leverage and truth, the powerhouse attorney representing Justin Baldoni is reportedly preparing his next set of moves. And if the whispers from insiders are accurate, what's coming could make everything we've seen so far look tame. Freedman has already flipped the narrative. His strategy has exposed behind-the-scenes betrayals, strategic silences, and alliances that no one expected to fracture. But this isn't the end game. It's just the midpoint. Freedman doesn't stop at momentary wins. He uses momentum to collapse opposition. Now, all signs point to him gearing up for another wave of legal maneuvers, and the implications are explosive. So what's next? speculation is mounting that Freedman could issue a new round of subpoenas. If Taylor Swift's alleged tip-off to Baldoni's team was only the first domino, then the next moves could expose even deeper secrets involving the tangled relationships around Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. People close to the situation believe that other high-profile names, former collaborators, stylists, agents, even fellow A-listers, may soon find themselves under legal scrutiny. This isn't just another court battle, it's a chain reaction. One well-placed subpoena could set off a cascade of revelations, each one more damaging than the last. Hollywood is a town built on image and precision. But once Freedman starts poking holes in that illusion, the collapse becomes contagious. Legal insiders say it's not uncommon for witnesses who never expected to speak to suddenly find themselves offering pivotal testimony, either willingly or under pressure. Freedman has done this before. His name is associated with cases that didn't just resolve disputes, but reframed entire narratives. In Gabrielle Union's conflict with NBC and Megyn Kelly's messy exit from a major network, his tactical pressure helped spark national conversations. These weren't just legal victories, they were cultural moments. That's what makes Freedman so dangerous in this current case. He's not just playing to win, he's playing to shift the landscape. There's also the fear factor. If Blake and Ryan are already feeling the squeeze, imagine how much tighter things could get if new subpoenas pull in mutual friends, former employees, or fellow actors. This case is no longer just about on-set behavior or a feud between stars. It's threatening to expose the power dynamics that hold Hollywood together: favor networks, back-channel deals, carefully curated images. All of it. And the bigger the case gets, the higher the risk for everyone involved. Hollywood operates on quiet deals, private influence, and mutual protection. But Freedman's aggressive strategy puts all that under threat. Once someone is dragged into the spotlight, every past decision, every buried conflict becomes fair game, relevant or not. Which brings us back to Taylor Swift. Her silence may not be passivity, it might be precision. Allegedly tipping Baldoni's team with key information allowed her to exit stage left, avoid legal entanglement, and leave the firestorm behind for others to deal with. It's the kind of move only the most image-conscious stars can pull off, protecting their brand while letting others take the fall. Still, the storm isn't over. If Freedman continues to dig, and by all accounts he will, the fallout could engulf everyone tied to this legal saga. Blake Lively's image, once so meticulously maintained, now looks dangerously fragile. Ryan Reynolds isn't far behind. And even Taylor, despite her strategic withdrawal, may not remain untouchable forever. With so much still unfolding, one thing is clear. This isn't just a lawsuit. It's a full-scale reckoning, and reputations across Hollywood may never recover.